Greetings from Sri Lanka Unites. We are joined here today with delegates from the University of Oklahoma who are here on an exchange visit to Sri Lanka organized by the university itself, partnered with the State Department and Sri Lanka Unites. Right, a very warm welcome to our second guest, Mr. Brent. Thank you so much for being here with us. Firstly, could you tell us more about you? What kind of professional background you come from?
Right, so my background is a marketing agency, which I formed about 18 years ago. And in more recent years, we've developed a focus on augmented and virtual reality. Okay. And so we do AR, VR projects in the United States for various clients. That led us to then partner with a nonprofit to begin teaching innovation and entrepreneurship to middle school students. And so now I spend most of my time working with students, teaching them about innovation and entrepreneurship through a nonprofit called Kidvation. I still own the marketing firm, but I don't run it as much anymore. The team runs it, and then I focus on the nonprofit.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really amazing. Is this your first time in Sri Lanka? And if it's not, or if it is, how has your experience been so far?
So it is my first time in Sri Lanka, and I will say that we hosted delegates back in the United States, and whatever it was we did to show them hospitality in the United States, it pales in comparison to what they have showed us here. I cannot believe the level of hospitality and friendliness that they have shown us. And so I am very impressed with the people of Sri Lanka.
Oh, that's really great coming from you. And yes, Sri Lankans are known for being hospitable people. Next, could you tell more about your entrepreneurial journey? How has it been for you so far? What are the challenges that you faced so far?
Gosh, that's a loaded question. There's a lot to talk about there. So I ran a production company for, it's still 18 years, or a marketing firm. And I think one of the challenges has really been trying to weigh risk. And we've taken a lot of risks in augmented and virtual reality. When we first started doing that 10 years ago, nobody had heard of it. And so it was kind of a risk. We had to invest quite a bit in that technology, but we were very early adapters. And so we kind of own that in our area of the United States. That's what people know us for. But it could have not worked. And so I think just weighing the risk, and when do you take a risk, and when do you go forward and maybe invest in something to try to make it work, and when do you not? I'm not always the best at that, but weighing those things has been an interesting journey. And so far it's turned out okay. I mean, we've always made it work. So even if it didn't turn out perfect, we made it work.
Yes, that's very humble of you to say that, and I think weighing risks is something that any entrepreneur needs to really navigate through correctly. Being in Sri Lanka, I think you've been exposed to different business communities, different entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka. What do you think your advice to them would be?
Oh gosh. So there are a couple things that I'm thinking about. First of all, let me just say that I'm really impressed with the entrepreneurs that we met. They're passionate, they have really good ideas, they want desperately to move things forward for themselves but also for their country. So they're on a great start. I just think for some of them it's just going to be don't give up, keep plugging away. There are so many times where I think businesses fail, where startups collapse, not because they have to, but because the founder just got tired, or they just decided it was more trouble than it was worth. They don't want to keep doing the work. And what I have seen in my experience is that when you get to those places, that's where you've really got to lean into it. Don't back off and say, it's getting hard now, I'm done, I'm just going to wipe my hands and move on. That's the moment where you lean in and you really try to figure out creatively, how do I work through these challenges? And my motto has always been, if you can think through it, you can get through it. But when you stop thinking about how to get through it, it's over. So as long as you're thinking about how to get through it and you're pushing that forward, you can get through whatever the challenges are, the roadblocks, the difficulties, the economy, whatever it might be.
Yes, that's a very interesting point to bring out there. I mean, entrepreneurs, the business leaders that want to quit at a certain point, especially with the given circumstances in Sri Lanka, the economic crisis, it can get really frustrating for people out there. Could you give us one instance in your journey that would inspire young entrepreneurs that you shouldn't give up, you should keep pushing forward?
So can I think about this for just a second? When we first started doing Well, I'll do this. I'll do this. Sometimes when you're pushing forward and you're trying to get through things, you'll hit a barrier. And I think for me, it's been the pivot. It's been figuring out how to pivot. At one point, our company decided we were going to start a newspaper. We had done a magazine. We had published a magazine. It was working great. The magazine was very popular. Lots of people bought it. And we thought, oh, well, if we can do a magazine, we can do a newspaper. And we started working on this newspaper, and it didn't work the same. It wasn't as successful as the magazine. And we were developing a digital platform, and we were going to be the newspaper of the future, and we were going to have all these things, and people didn't want to buy it the way that they did the magazine. So we had to pivot. Instead of giving up, what we said was, let's take the investment that we made in this platform, and let's just apply it to the magazine, instead of trying to push forward with this newspaper that wasn't working. And so we folded the newspaper, but we took the technology that we had invested in and then applied it to the magazine.
Right, that's amazing. That's truly amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, could you then finally tell us one piece of advice that you would give to entrepreneurs, not just in Sri Lanka, but all around the world?
Yeah, well, again, I think it comes back to perseverance and not being willing to give up. There's a quote, George Lucas, he was the creator of Star Wars, you know, the movies. He used to always say that you have to be so passionate about what you're doing that you're willing to push through all of the walls that people are going to build in front of you. And that's going to happen in any entrepreneur journey. There are walls that people are going to put in front of you. And so it's that passion for what you're doing that is going to drive you to barrel through those walls and keep going. Otherwise, when you see those walls, you're going to stop.
Yes, it's been very inspiring talking to you, really. Thank you so much for taking your time and being here with us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.